news tonight. Embattled presidential candidate files petition at Kenya Supreme Court, wants court to squash Ruto victory.
The things of neglecting your people when they are being fought down should stop. Mr. Mutima is an eye-opener.
MPs urge COSASA chairperson Joel Senyonyi to continue with probe into Uganda Airlines despite threats and intimidation. Also tonight, motorists warned against hitting the road without paying pending fines. And in sports, we bring you the highs and lows from the tournament as Uganda scoops third overall place. A very good evening to you. Thank you for tuning in to CTV. This is a PM edition. My name is Bernadette Pio, our sign language interpreter Isaac Luchamozi. We start in neighboring Kenya after a week after the announcement of the presidential election. Kenya's embattled presidential candidate Raila Odinga today filed an online petition at the Supreme Court challenging the result of the August 9th election, in which the country's electoral body boss declared his rival William Ruto the winner. Shortly after the petition, Odinga addressed his supporters and has strongly accused his rivals over what he calls corruption cartels determined to compromise electoral systems in Kenya. Here is more.
The Supreme Court in Kenya has finally accepted the election petition by Raila Odinga against William Ruto's election, flanked by his runmate Martha Karua, arrived at the Milimani Law Court at around midday, being hard-pressed by a mammoth crowd of their supporters. Crowds of Mr. Odinga's supporters sang and chanted outside the court as the presidential candidate arrived to deliver the document. Mr. Odinga and his counterpart Martha Karua are seeking 23 reliefs, including an order for inspection of IEBC surveys and scrutiny of the rejected and spoiled votes. They also want an order for scrutiny and forensic audit of the Kenya Integrated Elections Management System (KITS), IEBC website and portal, and the returns of presidential elections, including forms 34A, 34B, and 34C. In addition, an order for invalidation of Ruto's elections and the IEBC be compelled to organize a fresh presidential election in strict conformity with the Constitution and the Elections Act, in which they don't want to see Mr. Chebukati preside over. The PI is also seeking an order to summon Director of Criminal Investigations George Kinoti to produce statements, photographs, reports, equipments, laptops, phones and other gadgets, and many other materials connected to the conduct of the elections and found in possession of the Venezuelan nationals arrested at JKIA. Speaking after handing the petition over the Supreme Court, Mr. Odinga accused corruption cartels of determining democracy, but did not specify who he meant.
This is a do-or-die battle for the corruption cartels who have everything to lose should the forces of democracy take over. The corruption cartels are prepared to compromise electoral systems, bribe electoral officials, make security systems look other way, or even kill in order to find their way to power and their ill-gotten wealth and continue stealing from the public.
Odinga went on to assure his supporters that this is a do-or-die battle and vowed to see it to the final day.
This is what happened in this election. For the sake of Kenya's future, the corruption network must not only be stopped, it must also be crushed.
Today, the four commissioners of the IEBC who had earlier broken away joined their colleagues at Bomas of Kenya for a meeting of candidates of postponed elections in 8 elective positions. The meeting aimed at discussing the way forward regarding the by-elections that were to be conducted tomorrow but have since been indefinitely postponed. This becomes the 5th time that Odinga is running for president. In 2017, the veteran politician successfully challenged the result, which he lost to Mr. Kenyatta, and the Supreme Court ordered a rerun, which Odinga boycotted, saying he had no faith in the Election Commission. This time, Odinga is backed by the political establishment. President Uhuru Kenyatta endorsed Odinga's candidacy after falling out of Ruto after the last election. The Supreme Court has 14 days for the date of the filing to hear the petition and give a verdict.
We continue to bring you all the latest updates on that story as it continues to develop. But back here in Uganda, members of parliament who sit on different committees of parliament have today advised Joel Sonyonyi, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises COSASI, to remain firm on his quest for the truth. The remarks come at a time when Sonyonyi is being allegedly attacked by different people following his investigations into the probe of the national courier Uganda Airlines and its CEO Jennifer Bamuturaki.
Of late, mainstream media and social media has been awash with the ongoing proceedings and investigation into the management of the Uganda Airlines, which many have reacted to. The investigation, which have been met with mixed reactions, saw the chairperson of the committee, Joel Sonyonyi, going to CPS over the weekend to reveal that he was being threatened and intimidated by the Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Tom Butime, who requested him to stop investigating Jennifer Bamuturaki, a relative of the minister.
When you compare and contrast, these people are not matching up to the task. They don't have the required qualifications. So little wonder the airlines is not operating in a profitable way, in an efficacious manner as it should be. So we are digging up on these issues. Of course, that does not come without challenges. There's been numerous threats, personally to me and so on.
While addressing journalists today, police spokesperson Fred Enanga confirmed that the legislature has filed a complaint against the minister and urged Sonyonyi to work hand in hand with the police to help with the investigations.
We want to inform the public that we do take the security of high office holders, including parliamentarians, very seriously. And it is prudent that the lawmaker hands over his mobile phone for further cyber forensics and analysis. When we are doing the cyber forensics, we always establish the specific descriptions of the violence, whether the conversation was menacing, was it intimidating.
Some members of parliament we spoke to today, including chairperson of other committees, like the chairperson of Trade Committee, Mwine Mpaka, have urged Sonyonyi to continue with his investigation without backing down.
Personally, as a chairperson of the Trade Committee, I've never been threatened, and I don't think people will do it because they believe the method of work we have adopted in our committee. This is, if we're handling an issue, it is not about me, the chairperson. It is about all the members of the committee. So I alone cannot take a decision on behalf of the committee.
Other MPs say it's the role of the parliament to play the watchdog role by exposing the mafias.
Mr. Butime is fighting for his own. It is an indication to other people. When they come to your own, also come up and fight. Come up and fight for your people. These things of neglecting your people when they are being fought down should stop. Mr. Butime is an eye-opener.
Parliament is one of the organs of government, but it is mandated to carry out checks and balances, to check the appointments of His Excellency the President or the appointments by the executive. It is within the law.
Sarah Nakandi for CTV PM Edition.
Thank you, Sarah. Now, local government leaders in Karamoja sub-region are asking government to compensate them for the thousands of cattle they lost due to cattle raiding, saying this is part of the reason they have been facing prolonged famine in the area. Karamoja sub-region, which is found in the northeastern part of Uganda, has been prone to rampant rustling and killing following raids from Turkana warriors from neighboring Kenya. Chris Amakula has this report.
There are approximately 9 districts that make up Karamoja sub-region in the northeastern part of Uganda, but some areas like Kotido, Napak, Kabong and others for the last 1 year have registered hundreds of deaths and cases of malnutrition related to hunger. 65-year-old Catherine Odemak, a resident of Kathili Town Council in Kabong district, is among the people who have lost hope. We found at her home preparing seedlings in a small calabash to eat.
ngimu keka tuzikola mweno gundi kastebe ngekuze naye nga ekyeri ntono jobola beno mama jali okufumba zezine enva eziriwo era tusanze zitokota.
Odemark is not alone. Even her neighbor, who has just given birth to twins, is forced to leave behind her 1-week-old twin babies to go and collect firewood, which she sells to buy food.
The babies are 1 week old, and she even doesn't have breast milk, and these are twins. As we see, they are even actually asleep. They are 1 week old, and she has been out today very early in the morning. She left the twins home. She went out to take firewood for sale in exchange for the residue that we have all seen.
In Karamoja sub-region, it's the women who bring food to the table most of the time. But these days, they fear to go out to dig because of the cattle raiders.
In the previous year, there was what's called rampant. We had 34 kraals in Kabong as a whole. But now, as you see, Kabong is only left with 2.5 kraals. So meaning that Kabong projected lost over 50,000 heads of cattle to the raids.
Vice Chairperson of Kabong District, Joseph Lacote, now wants government to expedite the process of compensating residents whose cattle were stolen by raiders. He adds that in a period of 1 year, more than 30 kraals have been raided. Now Karamojongs cannot afford to pay for food, school fees and other basic needs.
It has to come on board because these animals were lost in the kraals that were protected by the UPDF. So therefore, we need the government to come on board to ensure that these cows are being bought back and given back to the people.
At the moment, Karamoja is experiencing heavy rains. However, for them to fight the hunger, they need it to last for at least 4 months for them to cultivate.
We told the government, since our livestock have been swept off, we need tractors to ensure that we open gardens for the people to go and plant. The other thing is also we need at least a smaller scale irrigation, because now we don't rely on this rainfall.
Unless we care for those who are vulnerable, because COVID could not kill us, but hunger is already killing us. It's claiming our children, and when the children are malnourished and they cannot think well in school.
The only relief food they have been receiving is from the Office of the Prime Minister of Uganda and other well-wishers.
According to the committee chairperson Donozio Kahunda, the land in question is located at plot 296 Kachurama Road, Naguru, measuring 56 acres, which was at first leased in 2011 to a company known as Unafili for 99 years.
Unafili secured the lease in 2011, but there are leases of 2007.
According to Donozio Kahunda, the Select Committee of Parliament on Defence has on several occasions summoned the commissioners from the Land Registry to appear and give insights, only to snub the summons.
Commissioner, we don't know why he has deliberately refused to appear before the committee, because there are irregularities that he did in transferring the titles. First of all, as the commissioner, as someone responsible for registration of titles, he would have been aware that you cannot put a lease on a lease. Secondly, he would be aware that Unafili, after securing a lease of 99
So is it a break?
In 2011, he wouldn't have gone ahead to issue a sub-lease of 99 years in 2015.
Captain Donozio Kahunda says they have also summoned the Iran-Uganda hospital to explain their unfulfilled agreement between the government of Uganda and Iran. According to the agreement, the hospital is supposed to provide cheap treatment to the police officers, but it has since been turned into a private entity.
Also an issue of Iran-Uganda hospital. Iran-Uganda hospital started as a partnership between the government of Iran and the government of Uganda, specifically to provide health care services to our police officers, and it was supposed to be located at Naguru. After providing the human resource, these people went behind the curtains and opened up a company limited by shares.
Kahonde says the committee will make sure that taxpayers' money is not misused.
Cannot sit as Ugandans and leave these private individuals actually siphon whatever resource we have as a country, because they were supposed to provide healthcare services to our police officers at a subsidized price.
The committee is now waiting for the response from the people who have been summoned to forge a way forward as they continue with investigations. Sarah Nakandi for CTV, PMO Edition.
Thank you, Sarah, for that story. We do apologize for the small technical glitch. PM Edition takes a short break. We return with more after. Don't go away.
Three words: convenience, passion, and pride. Introducing the KCCA app made for you to interact with the best football club in Uganda, giving you the latest news, transfers, membership options, merchandise online shop, match ticket bookings, and fan zone instant messaging. To download the beta app, go to Google Play Store on your Android and search for KCFC. Download the app, sign up, and voila, you're in. Yes, the app is only available for Android users. iOS users, we are coming soon. The KCCFC app, inspired by you, made for you.
The big debate is back. Bigger, bolder, reloaded. Whether it is securing your future, holding fast to the people power, or the promise of a one Uganda, one thing is certain: the big debate is on.
So why don't you respect the memories of Dr. Gondes?
We have already addressed the issue of increment.
How many people have ever been convicted?
Okay.
It's the way the politics plays in cabinet.
So now why are they asking for the statement?
Follow mainstream conversations on current affairs and leading policy debates in Uganda.
It is in our interest to handle arrested people very nicely.
Right here on The Big Debate.
Let me finalize this. I was quiet. I was quiet.
It's a hard-hitting talk show on development issues in the political and social-economic arena. Discussions that inform policy and trigger high-level dialogue. Now showing on CTV. Don't blink.
Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back. You're still watching PM Edition. Now, members of the Muslim community in Uganda today met with officials from the Uganda National Bureau of Standards to discuss ways they can train and test products, especially food, to determine whether it is halal or permissible as per the Islamic law. We have more.
The 5-day summit, which is being held in Kampala, has been organized by Uganda National Bureau of Standards and members of the Muslim community in Uganda to weed out the fake products on the market, which may be haram or forbidden by Islamic law and harmful to the people's lives. The training, which is being attended by officials from Islamic University in Uganda and the Standards Metrology Institute for Islamic Countries in Uganda, has brought together dignitaries from over 7 Islamic countries to help train and test some of the products on market.
Any product that is covered by mandatory standards for safety and health must be certified for minimum quality requirements, and now we are saying that that can be further enhanced to also comply with halal requirements for market purposes, because there are those who demand that these products comply with the requirements of the Muslim faithfuls, and therefore that's an advantage to whoever already has a quality mark to further enhance it to also be compliant with halal requirements.
According to the Executive Director of Uganda National Bureau of Standards, this move will help to restore confidence among members of the Muslim community.
Paying attention to the requirements of the Muslims has not been there, so that's where we are now trying to bring it as an opportunity to actually get market to the Islamic countries, especially for exports, but also domestically. We should be able to have domestic demand for halal certified products from our majority Muslim brothers.
The Rector of Islamic University in Uganda, Ismail Jagenda, says this summit will also give African countries the opportunity to showcase improved products on the market.
Suppose you want to send your meat to Saudi Arabia to sell it. They are going to tell you, is it halal or not? If you are going to send mangoes or whatever, they are going to say whatever you are putting on them, whether sprays or not, are they halal? So it's very, very important for promoting Uganda's vision for export. You know, the president and the government of Uganda export promotion exercise means you need to understand the market where you're going to export.
Professor Mohammed, one of the trainers, says they are focusing on training Africans in food, cosmetics and pharmaceuticals that can directly impact human beings positively.
So halal is not only a religious obligation, but also it is related to health, because you talk about purity of product, cleanness and quality, and also it is related to economy, because halal business is now trillions of dollars.
Global statistics indicate that Muslim community across the world represent 25% of the total population, but many are limited on consuming some products on the market for fear of not being halal or permissible as per the Islamic religion. Safi, Mokele Beluku and Chris, Semale Musemakula for CTV, PM Edition.
Police have commenced their countrywide operation to arrest and impound vehicles that have pending express penalty system tickets. The express penalty scheme has 25 offences for motorists, and offenders are liable to pay between 20,000 and 200,000 depending on the offence. According to police, they have ticket arrears of up to 8 billion shillings that need to be cleared. Take a listen.
It was running battles between traffic police as they tried to compel drivers to go and pay their fines. In downtown Kampala, police pitched a camp in the areas of Parliamentary Avenue and Old Kampala, where they checked vehicles to see whether they have pending express penalty system EPS tickets. The primary objective of the scheme is to deter users from committing road offences and to reduce the backlog of cases. Many of the drivers and motorists who were caught unaware were seen begging police for pardon, while others failed to pay their fines. The move aims at recovering the express penalty scheme arrears that have accrued to a tune of 8 billion shillings since the month of January. The police spokesperson, Fred Enanga, says that they will not favor anyone when it comes to paying of the fines.
So the operations are going to continue, but we have their EPS ticket areas worth 8 billion shillings out there, which is meant to, which is revenue for government and is supposed to be helping Ugandans in one way or another.
Defaulters have also been urged to pay the fines, and that once people pay, the offense clears automatically.
We continue to encourage Ugandans, especially those who have cross-checked the system and established that they have pending EPS tickets, to clear them in advance. Once you clear, to clear them immediately. Once you clear the EPS ticket, it removes the offense. It clears the offense which is against you.
A toll-free number has been provided for those that will seem to have queries with the system.
That you can call if at all there are any concerns, queries, petitions, or even if you feel that you were given an EPS ticket in a malicious way. That is the contact that you should get to call. If I remember very well, it is, I think it was 0800 199 099.
Once an express penalty scheme ticket is issued, it takes 28 days, and if they elapse, it attracts a 50% surcharge. Tony Patila Humza, CTV, PM edition.
Thank you, Tony. In news from the region, IEBC commissioners appear together for the first time after distancing from electoral chair, while Angolan voters despondent in run-up to general elections. All the 5 Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission commissioners, together with their chair and vice chair, have appeared together for the first time since the announcement of the August 9th election presidential result last week. IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati, his vice Juliana Cherera, together with commissioners Justus Nyangaya, Irene Masit, Abdi Guliye, Boya Molu, and Francis Wanderi, today held a briefing at the Bomas of Kenya. They were meeting leaders from areas where the electoral body had indefinitely postponed elections amid claims of harassment of IEBC officials. The 7 were ostensibly last together last Monday, August 15th, in the early afternoon ahead of the announcement of the presidential election results by Chebukati at around 6 p.m. In today's briefing, the stakeholders unanimously agreed to hold the election on August 29th for Kakamega, Mombasa counties and the Pokot South, Kacheliba, Kitui Rural and Rongai MP seats. The exercise is also set to be held for the MCA seat in Nyaki West and Kwanyenga wards. People in the streets of the township of Viana, one of the areas in and around Luanda, says there is no need to vote come Wednesday, August 24th, as they see no change and continue to have no jobs. The landmark election, with more than 14 million registered voters are registered, has been described as an existential moment for the key oil-rich Central African state. With an oil-dependent economy in recession, current President Joao Lourenço has launched ambitious reforms to diversify revenue sources and privatize public enterprises, but very little has changed for the majority of Angolans. The discontent with the ruling People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola party is huge. Some of the population are turning away from politics. President Joao Lourenço is seeking a second term in the general election on Wednesday. His country, a former Portuguese colony, is rich in natural resources but plagued by corruption, with much of its population living in poverty. On the international scene, Russia blames Ukraine for nationalist car bombing, and in Asia, nearly 800 people killed from flash floods in Pakistan. Russia's top counterintelligence agency has blamed Ukrainian spy services for organizing the killing of the daughter of a leading Russian nationalist ideologue in a car bombing just outside Moscow. Daria Dugina, the 29-year-old daughter of Alexander Dugin, a philosopher, writer, and political theorist, whom some in the West described as Putin's brain, died when an explosive planted in her SUV exploded as she was driving Saturday night. Russia's Federal Security Service, the main KGB successor agency, says that Dugina's killing had been prepared and perpetrated by the Ukrainian Special Services. On Sunday, Ukraine's presidential advisor, Mikhailo Podolyak, denied any Ukrainian involvement in the killing. In a statement, the FSB accused a Ukrainian citizen, Natalia Vovik, of penetrating the killing and then fleeing from Russia to Estonia. The FSB said that Vovik arrived in Russia in July with her 12-year-old daughter and rented an apartment in the building where Dugina lived to shadow her. It said that Vovik and her daughter were at a nationalist festival, which Alexander Dugin and his daughter attended just before the killing. The car bombing, unusual for Moscow since the gang wars of the turbulent 1990s, triggered calls from Russian nationalists to respond by ramping up strikes on Ukraine. The explosion took place as Dugin's daughter was returning from a cultural festival she had attended with him. Russian media reports cited witnesses as saying the SUV belonged to Dugin and that he had decided at the last minute to travel in another vehicle. Elsewhere, flash floods caused by an unusually heavy monsoon have killed nearly 800 people across Pakistan since mid-June. Rescue teams are racing against time to evacuate thousands of people stranded in safer areas. Authorities are also setting up relief camps in flood-affected areas in the southwestern province of Balochistan and the eastern province of Punjab. According to a military statement, troops carrying food, tents and other essential items have reached almost all these remote areas where people are waiting for help. The monsoon season runs from July to September in Pakistan. We take another short break. When we return, sports. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us in sports tonight. After a good performance last season, winning the Tanzanian treble, the ultimate target this year for Yanga African Soccer Club is a repeat of last year's triumph. This revelation was made by the club vice president Arafat Haji, who is currently in Uganda to promote sports tourism.
Assalamu alaikum Dar es Salaam, assalamu alaikum Afrika Mashariki na kati ulimwengu wote wa soka.
The 2021-2022 Tanzania League champions Yanga Sports Club kicked off the new season with a new silverware after beating their arch-rivals Simba FC in the Tanzanian Derby 2-1 to win the pre-season opener, the Community Shield, at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium.
Stefano Ziziki kwenye miguu ya Kalala. Vista! Kwanza na wakawa wametulizana, mtizame namna ambavyo wamegeuka. Kalala Fisto Mayele amedash mara kwa.
With the new season underway, the vice president of the club, Arafat Haji, is in Uganda to promote partnerships, sports tourism and representation. Arafat Haji had this to say about his visit.
Well, I'm in Uganda on